Any amount of thinking, any amount of philosophizing will not bring clarity into your mind. Only when your inner vision opens up, there's perfect clarity. No situation or nobody in the world can discomfort this clarity within you. But the logical clarity that you create, anybody can distort it. Difficult situations can completely put it into turmoil. So, for what we call Shiva, for that nothingness or for that energy, we have given a form. The form also has been created in such a way in the tradition that you should not be able to digest him. He is not a good man. He's got a snake around his neck which you don't like. He's got a garland of skulls which is unimaginable, most uncivilized. At the same time, he has such powerful tejas that you can't stay away from him. There is a helpless attraction and a powerful repulsion. That's how the image has been created, because the whole idea is to make you understand that there is not something that you logically perceive. Whatever you call God or divinity or Shiva or whatever you want to call it is not be perceived logically, is not to be perceived logically. It is to be experienced, but never to be understood logically. You can't arrive at a conclusion that he is a good man. I don't know if you're aware of these things, but in the Shiva Puran, there are such wild stories about Shiva that you can't believe that this could be a god. So conveniently, a so-called civilization has eliminated all those indigestible stories about Shiva. But that's where the essence of Shiva is. There are various stories like this. Let me tell you just one to give you some indigestion. You know, there is a story about how the world was created. They say, first of all, there was a mother who gave birth to 3 sons, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. The mother is beginning to age and she is concerned that if she doesn't bear more children, the world will end here with these 3 children. So she wants to be impregnated. But there is no other man in the world except for her 3 sons. If she has to choose a man, she has to choose one of her sons. This is something unthinkable. But she approaches Brahma and says, the only way to perpetuate the world is for you and me to be like a man and women. He says, it's impossible. You are my mother. I can never touch you. Then she comes to Vishnu and asks the same question. And she says, the only way to perpetuate life is for you to be with me like this. Vishnu is always known to be very diplomatic. He just smiles and he goes away. And then she comes to Shiva. She asks him the same thing. He indulges her without any hesitation. And that's how the world was perpetuated. So these kind of stories are there about Shiva, just to make you see that you cannot perceive him through your mind. He is impossible. He is everything that you don't want. At the same time, he is very root of his life. That's how the Shiva Puran has been built. The whole idea is to destroy your logical mind so that you open up to a different dimension of life altogether. So, if you have to open up Shiva or that energy which is called Shiva, this one is not useful, referring to the mind. This one is not useful. You have to keep this aside. Only then you can feel it. Only then you can experience it. For me, he is alive. For me, he is always with me. I never worship Shiva or anybody, but for me, he is alive. Every moment of my life, he is there with me. Everything that I do happens out of this. It is not a question of disbelief. It is not a question of, do you like this idol very much? Or what is your Ishtadevta? It is just that his energy is always with me. It is within me. It is outside of me. This is a living experience. If it has to become like this, that God is not something that you worship, but is something that you call yourself, that which is you, then one significant step you need to take is to destroy the logic which separates everything. That is the basic trick with the logical mind. It sets everything apart. If everything has to merge into one, if everything has to become nothing, or if everything has to become Shiva, this mind has to be dissolved. This is the place which has housed so many people who just won't fit into your moral structures. As I said earlier, Kedar is very heady mixture of energies. See, when you think of somebody on the spiritual path, probably you would think of them within a certain kind of framework, in terms of a certain kind of behavior, maybe a certain kind of dress, a certain kind of speech. But this is not a land of that kind of spiritual person. The kind that fits into your ways of understanding has been here, but there have been many more here who are utterly wild, whom you cannot recognize as spiritual, but these are people who have touched the very peaks of existence. When we say a yogi, we do not mean someone of a certain behavior. We do not mean someone with a certain type of morality or ethics. It is just that he is perfectly in tune with life. So tuned in with life that he can dismantle life and put it back together again. The fundamental life that is you. If you can dismantle that completely and put it back, only then you are a yogi. So this doesn't come with ethics, this doesn't come with morality, and this doesn't come with good behavior. Those things will earn you merit in society, but those things will not get you anywhere when it comes to existence. So there have been many such incredible human beings. Some of them, as far as the world was concerned, were utter drunkards, but they were yogis. They were drug addicts, but they were yogis. Highly abusive people, but they were yogis. All these things in their lives happened not out of some compulsion within themselves. These things happened because they did these things consciously, very consciously. This is the land which doesn't fit into your morality. This is a place which has housed so many people who just won't fit into your moral structures. There are many here who abuse every other path in the world, who abuse every other guru in the world, not out of some inner compulsions. They are doing this because unless you think the path you are walking is the best, you cannot evolve yourself 100%. If you think, yes, I am walking this path, but maybe that path is better, then you're not going to walk this path 100%. Unless you see your guru is the best guru, you can't involve yourself. You can't give yourself to the process. So it is from this understanding that people are coming. It is not in ignorance that they are making this kind of life for themselves. So today, they have taught you morals and values that you must appreciate all the paths in the world. All that is socially very good, spiritually not good. Suppose you want water and you start digging a well here. In this whole valley, unless you think this is the best place, you won't go all the way and hit the water. You'll dig 10 feet, and if somebody comes and tells you that the other place seems to be better, then and that you can actually get water at 5 feet, you will go and dig another hole there. If somebody comes and says that that would be a better place, you will go and dig another hole there. And in the end, all that you have is holes. Your life will be full of holes, but you will not find anything. Just to avoid this, they created a certain kind of life, which logically doesn't make sense to lots of people, but the very fact that these people attained and lived gloriously shows it worked. Yoga has innumerable devices, innumerable methods of working towards a still mind. This yogic tradition has seen thousands of realized masters. No other tradition in the world, no other spiritual culture in the world has seen this kind of galaxy of realized beings. Many methods, many ways, many systems have been evolved. Each master delivered his teaching in his own way. Each master employed his own methods and devices as were suitable for people around him. Fundamentally, the very process of yoga is to realize who you really are. Many methods have been evolved, many devices have been created, Many support systems have been devised to make this happen. Each master has made it happen to people in many strange ways because every master expresses himself in its own way. Each one of them faces different type of resistance in society. The social norm is such, society knows one guru 100 years ago was doing something in a certain way. So now another one comes today and starts doing things in totally different way. Now either society has to denounce that man or this man. They cannot see that there are a number of ways to make the same thing happen. This reminds me of a great sage in the tradition whose name was Ribhu. He was known as Ribhu Maharishi. Ribhu had a disciple, a wayward disciple, whose name was Nidhaaga. Ribhu Maharishi had a special love for his particular disciple, but this disciple was a little wayward, not as focused as the others. So naturally, among the disciples, there was a little problem. Nidhaaga is so unfocused, but why is Guru so loving to him and not to us? There was a problem going on. These things always happen because a guru is somebody who's not looking at you for what you are today. He is looking at you for what you are capable of tomorrow. What is possibility that you carry within you? What you have done till now is of no importance to him. What you are today is of some importance to him, but what you can be tomorrow is of utmost importance to him. Nidhaaga left Ribhu Maharishi and went away. Ribhu Maharishi made trips to see his disciples wherever he was, but Nidhaaga was not too receptive. So Ribhu always went in disguise just to see his disciple and to bless him, to guide him. One day, Ribhu Maharishi dressed himself as a village rustic and went where Nidhaaga was. A king's procession was passing by on the street. Nidhaaga was intently watching the procession. So Ribhu Maharishi, disguised as a rustic, went and stood beside Nidhaaga and asked, "What are you looking at?" Nidhaaga looked at him in disdain, thinking to himself, "Everybody is looking at the procession. This fool doesn't even know what we are looking at." He said, "I am looking at the king's procession." Ribhu Maharishi asked, "Where is the king?" "Can't you see? He is sitting on the elephant." "Oh, but which one is the king?" Now Nidhaaga got really angered and he said, "Can't you see, you fool? The man is sitting above is the king and the animal below is the elephant." "Oh, but what is above and below? I don't understand." Now Nidhaaga became really furious. He said, "You fool, you do not know what is above and below? It looks like what you see and what you hear doesn't seem to get into you. You need some action." He bent Ribhu Maharishi forcefully down and stood on his shoulders. "Now you see. Now do you see? Now I am above. You are below. I am the king. You are the animal. Did you get it?" "Not really. Now I can understand what is man and what is elephant. Now I can understand what is above and what is below. But what is this you and me you're talking about?" Suddenly the basic questions of who am I, who are you, struck Nidhaaga. He fell at Ribhu's feet and as he realized that it could not be anybody other than his master, and he attained self-realization in that moment.